Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So President Trump dropped a wild one on Truth Social. He said he's planning to order the government to reopen Alcatraz Island as a functioning prison. Yeah, the Alcatraz, the one smack in the middle of San Francisco Bay. If you know anything about Alcatraz, you know it's got a dark history. It was a federal prison from 1934 to 1963, but they shut it down because it was too expensive to run and the facility was literally falling apart. These days, it's a tourist hotspot, a museum where people go to see where some of the most dangerous criminals were once held. But now Trump wants to bring it back to life as an actual prison. He claims it's one of the hardest places to escape from, thanks to all that surrounding water. Since he made that announcement, the internet's been, wild. People are talking, debating, and raising some serious concerns. I mean, it's going to cost a fortune to renovate, and let's be real, Alcatraz already had a reputation for being one of the hardest intense prisons in the world, if not in the world, I mean. So naturally, reactions have been, coming in, and I've pulled a few clips for you guys. So let's just watch these clips. I'm going to come back at the end of this video to give my own 2 cents. Let's watch this.
The president has just asked for Alcatraz to be reopened in 2025, which it has been closed since 1963. He actually made a visit to Alcatraz Island and has caused a lot of controversy over the fact of due process, which, speaking of due process, he also went on record saying yesterday that he doesn't know if American citizens and American non-citizens should be entitled to due process, and that should be a process entirely held up to courts. And speaking of the courts, the administration has said yesterday that they are going to put an end to enforcing civil rights laws, which I guess this could also levy into Jon Ossoff doubling down yesterday on his impeachment proceedings, saying that the president has done so much demonstrably above any previous president who would ever be impeached, and he's doubling down on calling for his impeachment.
Ooh, just when you thought things was real, they about to get realer. Come on, sip a little tea with Auntie. Let's talk about it. Donald Trump, per his Truth Social. So this is something that you can go look up to see if what's coming out of my mouth is actual factual. Okay? Donald Trump has directed the FBI, Department of Justice, to reopen the prison Alcatraz. You heard me right, Alcatraz. Why is that prison ringing in your head like where I know this from? That prison that was in San Francisco, surrounded by nothing but water. It was on its own island. Clock it. Donald Trump is about to reopen that prison. That prison used to be used for some of the world's worst criminals. The whole United States, the worst criminals was put on Alcatraz. Now Donald Trump has directed them to reopen that prison on that island. The prison has been closed since 1963. So he wants to rebuild and reopen Alcatraz. That ain't making y'all eyes a little bit bigger? That ain't making you want to pay attention and close attention to what's going on? Alcatraz? Do your research on that prison, y'all. Do your research on that prison. And then why all of a sudden it's been closed since 1963, now we opening it back up. Thank y'all for sipping a limo tea with Auntie.
About to reopen Alcatraz, one of the worst prisons in the world. It's been shut down for over 60 years. They call it a place for the worst of the worst. Violent criminals, serial offenders, the dregs of society. That was their words, not mine. I mean, yeah, criminals do exist, but reopening Alcatraz in 2025, it's giving soft launch for the purge. Like, who really is going to end up on that island? Be for real. They're expanding it. FBI, DOJ, Homeland Security, all involved. It's being rebuilt way stronger. But why now? Why this prison? The last time this prison was open, Al Capone was there. And now it's back. But be honest, would you feel more safer or more paranoid? Drop a question mark if you feel like it's way deeper than criminal control.
Donald Trump has ordered the reopening of Alcatraz prison because there's clearly not enough room to lock up all the people that the US government has been arresting. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. If you have Amazon Prime, go to Amazon Prime right now and attempt watching the movie Robin Hood. If you have Amazon Prime, go on Amazon Prime right now and attempt watching the movie Robin Hood. You will find something mind-boggling. Amazon has removed the opening part to the movie. You know why? The opening part to Robin Hood calls for a revolution. I kid you not. The opening part to Robin Hood that calls for a revolution has been taken down by Amazon. So yeah, go check it out.
So Donald Trump has said that he wants to reopen a prison that's known as Alcatraz. Now, a lot of you guys been on the moon for the last 50 years. Alcatraz was a prison that was opened up in the early 40s, and it was discontinued around the year 1963. Donald Trump says because of the mass growing of violent criminals right here in the United States that they want to reopen Alcatraz. Now, they say Alcatraz costs 3 times more than a regular prison in the United States to run. Why? Because this prison sits on an island. It sits on a rock. So there's a lot of movies called Alcatraz from way back in the day. There's a lot of movies called The Rock. This prison has become a tourist attraction right here in the United States now, where a lot of people actually tour this prison. So they said that the amount of money that they make just on the tours wouldn't make any sense for them to reinvest and renovate the property and turn it back into a prison. But I just think that Donald Trump should really be investing that money into other things that need to be invested in. More prisons. Yes, we do need more prisons, but why open up a prison that's been closed since the 60s? Why wake up a dinosaur that's been gone for years? If you're going to open up a prison, why invest that type of money? 3 times as much as it costs to run just a regular prison. You have a prison in Indiana called Westville Correctional Facility. That prison houses over 3,000 inmates. So they're saying Alcatraz would cost 3 to 6 times more just to run that prison. And he wants to put the most violent offenders in that prison in Alcatraz. That's in the United States. But you know, I feel like that it's bigger than just the criminals in the United States. We have a lot of criminals in the United States that's not even from the United States. So I don't know if I agree with him reopening up that prison, that old prison. But what I do agree with is, yes, we do need more prisons open. But I think that spending that type of money on that particular prison, that money can be well invested somewhere else other than the dinosaur. I call a prison a dinosaur. So again, like I said, if you guys don't know what Alcatraz is, it was opened up in the early 40s, and it was discontinued or closed down in 1963 because of the conditions. They said that the prison is going to take a whole lot of money to re-get the prison back up to standards. Now, we do know that the government do have the money. All the money that they discovered in that Doge fund, they could use a lot of that money to reinvest in that prison. But I think a lot of that money can be better invested in other places. But you guys let me know what you think. And by the way, good Monday morning, y'all.
I wonder if Donald Trump giving the directive to the FBI and the Department of Justice to reopen Alcatraz is due to the fact that Bukele is under some huge restraints from NATO. Word on the street is that Bukele only agreed to take people who were convicted. And since DJT is not giving these people due process, Bukele is not supposed to be taking them into his prison. And Bukele gets a lot of foreign aid from NATO. Ever since Bukele took in Abrego Garcia, he's had the spotlight on his little prison. It doesn't surprise me that Donald J. Trump wants to open up Alcatraz again, because he's not going to be able to send these people to other countries. Just last week, they were talking about putting people in Rwanda. He's doing anything he can to try to deport people and make them prisoners or slaves. How long are we going to take this setting down? I think it's about time for us to do more. Don't you?
Okay, here's my conspiracy. You guys ready? You know how President Trump said that he wants to open up Alcatraz. So Alcatraz is like a prison. It's like an island prison located in California. Okay, and it's since then been closed. It houses about like 250 inmates or whatever, and it's supposed to house some of the most notorious people. Like Al Capone was there at one point and everything. Okay, I think the reason why he wants to open up like all these prisons, like Alcatraz or even Guantanamo Bay is because obviously he wants to put all the immigrants there. But why, right? Like, what's the point? I think it all has to do with these terrorists, right? Like, he wants everything to be made in America. He wants America, like, strong again, whatever. It's not going to happen for a couple of reasons. Number one, we cannot compete with the labor that they can do in other countries, like cheap labor. Like, we just can't. Like, they'll pay some of these third world countries, like, little money, and they will produce product, right? But you know what can't compete with them? Prison labor. Prison labor is the only labor that you can work for like fucking pennies or dimes. Like, some people barely make like $3 an hour. What if he wants to open up all these prisons so he can have these immigrants work the prison labor so people can start manufacturing and doing things from the US through these like prison systems? It's a crazy conspiracy, I know, but it just like, it makes sense if you think about it. So many companies profit off of like prison labors. Like, look at this article. More than 500 businesses, including McDonald's, Burger King, and Walmart, allegedly using Alabama prisoners as cheap labor. And those businesses, particularly Walmart, profits a lot because they make these prisoners work for literally, like I said, pennies, nickels, and dimes. And think about it, who has been working for like, these immigrants work and work and work. But what do I know? It's just lovely conspiracy.
If you're thinking about committing any crime, just know that you might be spending your life in the worst prison that they ever made. So President Trump just gave an order to the feds to reopen and rebuild Alcatraz. You heard what I just said? He's about to reopen and rebuild Alcatraz, one of the worst prisons that we had in America. Matter of fact, look at this shit. President Trump went on Truth Social, and this is what he said. You want to screenshot it? Okay. But read this shit. Rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders. Listen, bottom line, he's saying if you do some shit that you're not supposed to do, your ass getting sent to the worst jail in the world. And if you thought the prison in El Salvador was bad, apparently you don't know anything about Alcatraz. You better do your research. You know how many inmates lost their life in Alcatraz. You know how many COs lost their life in Alcatraz. From the conditions to how they was living to the person sleeping next to you waking up and wanting to put a knife. Well, you know how that goes. All I'm saying is this. If you are planning to commit any crimes, please think about it, because apparently, if you read that tweet, you heard what President Trump said. We're a more serious nation, and they're not playing. Pay attention. If you're thinking about...
So let's talk about this. And let's be for real for a second. They were opening Alcatraz, a prison that's been closed for over 60 years. You gotta ask yourself, why? Like, what's really happening behind, what's the move for this? So this isn't just about bringing back an old building. This is a prison that was shut down in 1963, because it was too expensive to maintain and was literally falling apart. It's been sitting there ever since, transformed into a tourist attraction. People go there to learn about, I don't know, whatever they're learning about. It was a prison. They take pictures and, yeah. So that's not just a logistical, if I can put it that way, if I may. That's not a logistical decision. I don't know. And listen, I don't say this to fearmonger or start some conspiracy, but we need to pay attention, close attention. You guys, my people, my Black Americans, I love you so much, but you need to, I know you pay attention, but let me just say it as part of this commentary. You need to pay close attention to what is really happening around you, because when big moves like this are made, there's always more going on beneath the surface. Now, Trump says it's because Alcatraz is hard to escape from. And of course, that's true. It's surrounded by water, maybe some strong currents. I don't know, never been there, but let's think deeper than that. Like, what's really the reason behind wanting to reactivate a prison with such a brutal history? I mean, in 2025, in this year 2025, like, what's the catch? Here's why my concern, I mean, here's where my concern kicks in. And again, I'm just saying it out loud. I'm saying this 100%, like, what is going to happen. There's something that I want to say, but anyway, I'm gonna skip that. Yeah, so we've been seeing reports about illegal immigrants, being shipped to different states, different countries. I heard recently that Rwanda accepted that they are ready to receive illegal immigrants. By the way, Rwanda is in Africa. I think 2 countries between me, where I am, and Rwanda, so they've accepted to be receiving illegal immigrants. So there's already been talks about detention centers popping up, and this idea of finding new places to ship people. So if Alcatraz is back on the table, are you getting where I'm going with this? Come on. I think by now you're guessing. You know where I'm headed to. Yeah. You open up a place like that, you best believe it's not gonna be empty for so long. My guess is gonna be flooded with these same people who are supposed to be, should I use the word deport or exported? Okay, let's just go with the flow. Deported to Rwanda, El Salvador. I mean, if Alcatraz opens up, best be assured that it's going to be flooded with immigrants and undocumented people. And, we heard about deporting Americans, hardcore criminals, folks that the government doesn't want to deal with in any other way. Freedom of speech, it's gone. Anyway, I'm going to skip that too. And here's the thing, when the system sets something like that up, it usually doesn't stop at just one group. It starts with one category of people that society already sees as a problem, and then the net gets wider and wider until it's no longer about illegal immigrants. You're putting the pieces together, right? Yeah, so that's why I'm speaking directly to you guys. I love you, my Black American brothers and sisters. I'm talking to you. Yeah, you gotta be careful. 2025 is still late. Don't go to protest. Stay home. Stay out of trouble. Because at the rate things are moving now, I'm telling you, it's not just going to be about immigrants anymore. Yeah, obviously we know that there's been news of deporting Americans as well. Okay? Yeah, let's just end there. So that's just the opening act. Historically, we've seen how laws and systems are weaponized to target certain groups of people. So if something like Alcatraz gets up and running again, please don't be surprised if they start filling those cells with, Yes. And it's always starts small. It looks like it's about security or keeping people safe. Yeah, but you guys, you've been there, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't need to even say it. Don't get distracted. Don't let the media convince you that this is just about bringing back a piece of history. Nah, I'm not buying this one. No. This is about power control and laying down infrastructure for something bigger. So what can we do? Let me know what you guys think about this. I've got so much to say, but I'm gonna hold it. Yeah, but let me try anyway. And third, that's why I'm talking about this. That's why I'm talking to you guys. Stay out of trouble. Stay out of trouble. Anyway, what do you guys think about this video? What do you think about the reopening of the Alcatraz prison? Do you think reopening of this prison Is it just a coincidence? Just a simple prison relocation plan? Or do you think, like me, feel like this could be the start of something much deeper? Please drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let's talk about this. Feel free to leave your thoughts. I feel good when I see that you guys are watching, especially if you watch this last commentary, which is so raw and edited. Any mistakes, you hear them. Yeah. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed already, and I'll definitely see you in my next video. Please stay out of trouble, stay peaceful.